The biggest thing that I see people struggle with in business is the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, which is all about abandonment. What does breathwork have to do with growing your business? First, I want to ask you this question. When it comes to starting a business or growing your business, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge for you? And I want you to think about that or write it down if you can. And now I'm going to bet you that this challenge has something to do with you, with your confidence, with your ability to bring in clients, with your belief in yourself, with your ability to sell, something that has to do with what's going on in here, right? And even if your problem is, say, related to a client or a personal relationship, it still has to do with what's going on inside of you. When I first started my business, I never really thought I was going to be working with so many business owners, but it just turned out that way. And a lot of the people that I work with either already have their own businesses or they want to start their own businesses. Or as a byproduct of doing this deep work, they realize that they want to start a business that is related to their purpose in life because they discover that through the work that we do. So over time, what I've realized is that most people, their block around starting or growing their business has everything to do with what I call your core wound, or that one unmet need from childhood that created a belief you have about yourself that you continue to recreate in every area of your life. So what I started to notice when growing my own business is that using breath work was a key component in how I was able to grow my business so quickly. And the reason why is because breath work allows you to process the suppressed emotions that you have in your body from childhood that are recreating these patterns that keep showing up in your life. Breathwork is the most efficient way to access the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is where these beliefs are living. And they are the things that are driving the bus that you're unaware of that are creating the results in your life that you don't want. But you are the one creating those results that you don't want. It's just that they're coming from your subconscious, so you're not aware of them. So when you use a tool like breathwork, you efficiently access the subconscious so that you can become aware of these deeper beliefs, deeper unmet needs, or deeper wounds that are driving the bus so that you can reconcile them. Things like I'm not good enough, or the fear of abandonment or rejection. This is a really big one for most of my clients, and it comes up really strong when you have a business or when you start a business, because the biggest thing that I see people struggle with in business is the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, which is all about abandonment. If you felt abandoned or neglected by your parents in any way, even just on an emotional level, say they weren't able to be present for you emotionally, or you weren't allowed to have emotions in your house and no one gave you context for the things that you were feeling and experiencing, that would create an abandonment wound. And then when you go to put yourself out there, you have this huge fear that people are going to criticize you, reject you, and ultimately you're going to feel abandoned. So this deeper part of your psyche is trying to prevent you from feeling that abandonment again. And so you are constantly second guessing yourself, or you feel like you want to start a business or you want to put yourself out there, but you have this really strong self-doubt or guilt or shame that's telling you that you shouldn't do that and that people are going to judge you, or do you really have what it takes? All of that stuff. But what I always say is that that's actually a good thing, because the business is the thing that invites you to process those deeper emotions and clear them so that you can move forward in your life. And breathwork is the way to do that, because breathwork is the fastest way to process the suppressed emotions from childhood and access those deep subconscious wounds so that you can reconcile them. And largely it happens pretty quickly. I see so many of my clients who start to use my breathwork sessions And immediately they start to have momentum. They start to know what action they want to take. They start to be more decisive. They start to have more confidence, and they're really clear on what they want to do. And before they were kind of like, I don't know, I'm confused. And confusion is actually just the fear of claiming and owning what you really want to do, because you're afraid that of what people are going to think, or you're afraid of rejection or abandonment. So when it comes to starting or growing a business, breathwork is probably the best tool that you could use to get over those blocks or challenges that keep coming up, because there's always something that's going on in here that's stopping you from taking action out there. So here's my assignment for you. I want you to look at what you wrote down in the beginning. What is the biggest challenge you have around starting or growing your business? And then I want you to do my breathwork session that is in the breathwork playlist that's called Breathwork to Heal Core Wounds. And I want you to see how you can draw a parallel from something in childhood and this block or challenge in your business now. Do that breathwork session and then look at what you wrote at the top of your page just now. And then I want you to do some journaling about it after the breath work, because the breath work will trigger the subconscious and start to stir things up. And you might not be consciously aware of exactly what's coming up, but when you start to journal and just free write, you'll be surprised at what comes out. And then you're going to get some really powerful information as to where this challenge you're experiencing now started. And then you can keep using the breath work to continue to shift it. And there's always more work to do, but I promise you're going to feel a shift just from doing this. And you're going to be able to start to see that challenge you're facing a lot differently and realize that it's not something that is actually true or that you have to believe. It's simply an invitation to look at something deeper that's going on and process it and shift it so that you can expand into the version of yourself, into the business owner that you want to be. Because I'm sure you have a vision for yourself and you're wondering, how do I get from A to B? And breathwork is how you get from A to B, especially the breath work that I use, which is conscious connected breathing that is specifically targeted to access core wounds and shift them, specifically shifting them in how they're showing up and slowing you down in your life now. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below how this went for you, if anything popped for you immediately, even before you did the breath work, and then what happened after the breath work. And I will definitely come in and respond to you because I can't wait to hear how this all landed. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also download my private podcast, The Core Wound Solution, if you want to learn more about the concept of the core wound.